Okay, so we're going to be looking further into the book of Revelations, and I'll do my best to explain what I found. It was hard, extremely hard. Thanks to, I want to thank Michael Heiser for, um, for his two books, which have helped me out a lot. Unseen Realm and, you know, uh, very good books, as well as the other book, Reversing Hermon. So these are very good books, and I learned a lot from Paul Shafranki as well. So basically, what we're going to be looking into is today is we're going to look into to try and make sense of this mystery of Revelations. You know, this is for people that are really curious, that really want as more accuracy as they can get. It's hard, very hard to read, to try and figure out what's going on in Revelations. Extremely difficult. Now, I've looked at a lot of people out there with their work, and I have to say that they're partly correct. I do agree with some of their explanations. I do believe that the Muslims will have a part to play in this. I don't believe that the Antichrist will be a Muslim, but I believe the Muslims will work with the Antichrist, and I do believe that that the seven mountains are the seven mountains of Jerusalem, which we'll get into, and I do believe that the beast, the scarlet-colored beast, is to do with Rome as well. Okay, but we'll clear it up, just to make sense of things. So anyway, we're not going to be focusing on, the countries or the system of the beast. All right. What we'll do is I will talk on the spiritual side of the beast of the sea and the beast of the earth and the dragon that's in the heavens. Okay. We're going to be talking about three beings. Okay. So in Revelation 13, and the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, feet like a bear, mouth like a lion. This is to do with the system, you could say, which you can parallel that with Daniel 7 and Daniel 2 concerning Babylon, Greece, and Persia, Medes, and which is modern day Iran. And notice the fourth kingdom is not mentioned that devours the whole earth. You'll notice that, right? Which is the fourth, right? That's something that you need to think about as well. We will focus on the spirits and not the system, so to speak. So we know that Revelations cannot be read and understood straight away. It needs serious analysis. We will look at the symbolic nature of Revelation 17 so we can get a rough understanding of what's going on because of the angel's interpretation. Okay? So in Revelations 12, and there appeared another wonder in heaven. So this is to do with the dragon. This is the great dragon having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads. So now we've got 7 crowns mentioned. Okay, think of that on the heads. Now when we get to Revelation 13, and it says, and I stood upon the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns, 10 crowns. So now we've got 10 crowns. So when we add that up, that's 17 crowns altogether. Now when we get to Revelations 17, so he carried me away in the spirit, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet-colored beast, full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. You'll notice that they don't mention anything about crowns because it's already been mentioned, you see. So that's probably why they don't mention the crowns further on. So anyway, it says here, the 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sitteth, and there are 7 kings, 5 are fallen, and 1 is, and the other is not yet come. And when he cometh, he must continue a short space. And the beast that was, and is not, even he is the 8th, and is of the 7, and goeth into perdition. And the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, okay? So there we have it, 17 kings in total. When we get to Revelation 17, we need to understand that the scripture does not say that the woman is linked with names of blasphemy. Only the beast is associated with that description because of the 7 kings who are in blasphemy. The woman is a city linked to Rome, I believe, okay? The blasphemy is linked to the same beast of Revelation 13 because the 7 kings are into blasphemy because they knew God Yahweh. Pagans don't know God to be able to blaspheme him. Okay, so we need to understand that someone in a foreign country that doesn't actually know Yahweh, they can't really blaspheme him if they don't really know him. Right? And by the way, blasphemy means calling that which God says is good and calling it evil. That's blasphemy. But you have to know what you're doing to be able to do that, So anyway, and Revelation 17 is interesting in the passage that says there are 7 kings, 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other is not yet come. It still mentions the kings that have fallen in the past, okay? You need to think about that. And also mentions one that is present and another in the future. So in the context of the situation is that they want you to focus on the past kings as well as the future kings. They don't mention just one king and a future king, but they want you to remember the ones that have fallen in the past, which means all these kings, whether in the past, present, or future, they are all connected to each other. Okay, we need to think about that. So this is how to read Revelations, as that it is not always about the future, but it can also be connected to the present and past also. It's very important to remember this, okay? Revelations does not want you in the dark about what happened in the past. So we need to know which of these revelations is talking about before we can understand what it is saying. Now, the main focus will be on the 3 beasts of Revelations, which are 1. The dragon of the heaven, 2. The beast of the sea, and 3. The beast of the earth. So this talk will be basically just to investigate these 3 creatures, okay? And so in Revelations, I am not convinced this is about astronomy when John says, I saw a wonder in heaven. It is, I believe it's all symbolic. John did not want just to, did not just see things in the heavens, but also saw things come from the sea and out of the earth also, right? So I don't think it's really about astronomy, because you've got to think about that Lucifer was up in heaven at one point, you see, and then he was cast to the ground, and the woman, I believe, is Mary, who is in favor of God, if you know what I mean. So it's like she's up in the heavens also, it's like. So I don't believe it's about astronomy. For example, he saw a beast come out of the ocean, another come out of the earth. So it can't be astronomy. So let's read about these 3 symbolic creatures of Revelations. Let's look at the dragon. Who is the dragon? So in Revelations 12, it says, And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent, called the devil, and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. So the dragon is Satan, okay? The serpent who deceived Eve in the Garden of Eden. Scripture on Satan, we've got Michael Heiser, PhD, and Biblical Studies and Bible College lecturer. He basically says that the serpent is not a snake. There is no text that says animals had the gift of speech. The serpent is a divine being. Nakash, Hebrew for the serpent, Michael Heiser says it to take it as an adjective, shining one. As a noun is a serpent, and the verb is deceiver or diviner. Ezekiel 28, Isaiah 14 do not describe a snake when describing this Lucifer, Satan. So in Ezekiel 28, it says here, Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Thou art anointed cherub that covereth, and I have set thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. Thine heart was lifted up in the beauty. Corrupt thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee to the ground. And there is our shining connections to the serpent. Brightness is Yipha, meaning either brightness or splendor. Luke 10, And the 70 returned again, saying, Lord, even the devils are subject to your name, to thy name. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning fall from heaven. 2 Corinthians 11. So there's our Lucifer connection there. Lucifer falls from heaven. O Lucifer, how thou art fallen from heaven. And for Satan himself is transformed into an angel of light. Okay, so he's not with light, he's a shining being. How art thou fallen from heaven? Isaiah 14. O Lucifer, Lucifer means light bringer in Latin. And Hillel, O shining one. And 2 Corinthians 11, Satan, angel of light. Son of the morning, how art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations. Now, just so you understand that the ground and Genesis 3 situation, when it mentions cast to the ground, it's actually, in the Canaanite language, earth would have been perceived as hell or Sheol, netherworld, like Sheol. He's been cast down into the earth, you could say, almost. So this is what Michael Heiser points out. Very important to understand that the dragon was cast out with these angels into the earth. So you need to think of that. So it's actually, they're in the area of Hades. And then, of course, when Lucifer was worshipped by the ancients, in the form of different gods in the world. So we have here, for example, the god Baal-zebub, was associated with Satan in later Jewish literature and New Testament. And this is from the book called Unseen Realm by Michael Heiser, PhD in Biblical Studies. And then, of course, the Greeks related Baal to Zeus, god of the sky, lightning, thunder, law, order, and justice. Zeus is a Greek form of Lucifer, you could say, in Exodus 19. So basically, we have in Exodus 19, Yahweh was known to cause thunders and lightnings in a thick cloud on Mount Sinai when we would communicate to Moses. Now think of it like this. Lucifer is pretending to be a type of thunder god in the form of Zeus on Mount Olympus as a king of the gods, causing thunder and lightning. So you can see that Satan wants to be like the Most High, just like it, in Isaiah 14. It says, remember how, and of course, when we look at the Roman god Jupiter, the Romans identified him with the ancient Greek god Zeus. So Jupiter is basically the Roman Lucifer. The god Jupiter, among the many gods, lights of the Romans, Jupiter, the son of Saturn, was the supreme god, associated with thunder, lightning, and storms. And of course, and Baal was associated also with storms. Yeah. And of course, Marduk is another form of Lucifer, the chief god of the city of Babylon. We'll not go through all of these. But interestingly, when you look at the god Jupiter, the sky god, one of his most ancient epithets is Lucitius, light bringer it means, just as Latin Lucifer. So there we have it. And also when you look at Lucifer, Lucifer was part of a first century poet who talked about how Lucifer marshaled, who was the star god Venus, who had marshaled the stars to leave heaven. Now isn't it interesting that the dragon also causes the stars to sweep from the sky to the earth, which is his angels, isn't it? So anyway, bye for now, and I'll make another video eventually. Bye for now.